Good morning, and thank you all for being here. A greeting turns into a conversation. A conversation turns into an idea. An idea turns into a cause. A cause turns into a movement. This is what brings us here today. 5 months ago, we were contacted by Harris County Sheriff's Department regarding the creation of a nonprofit organization. They had heard of our foundation and were interested in creating one for their own philanthropic cause. I spent many hours with Lieutenant Donnie Plant, who is with us today. I gave him all the information needed to get started with their own foundation. Fast forward a few months, and we saw a monster hurricane with sights on Houston, Texas. As I sat at home watching the news, I couldn't believe the power and destruction of this storm. In days following the events and seeing water levels rise while watching first responders doing what they do best, I seemed to feel a sense of helplessness. All police and fire personnel know the feeling when you see your brothers and sisters as first responders doing what they do best and you can't be there to back them up. Then I watched a news reporter who was on the ground in Harris County, showing the sheer devastation and water levels as high as rooftops. Due to my earlier conversations a few months prior, I picked up the phone and called Lieutenant Plant and said, "This might be a dumb question, but how are you and how is your department doing?" I could tell in his voice that it was not good, and hearing the extreme exhaustion emanating from his words, that it was more than a catastrophe. He told me that his department was on tactical alert, meaning the men and women of police and fire were working 12-hour shifts. Lieutenant Plant told me hundreds of officers were dealing with total losses themselves. Some were even sleeping on the cold floor at their Air Support Division hangar as they had nowhere else to go. While these brave first responders were doing what they do best, their families were at home dealing with their own disaster. In some cases, the police and fire personnel couldn't leave work due to roads flooded, leaving family members to fend for themselves. Working these long and exhausting hours, these first responders went home to nothing but a home filled with water. The pictures and videos that I saw were obviously convincing enough that we had to start some kind of mutual aid response. We contacted our command, and within a few days I got an overwhelming response to do this fundraiser for those amazing men and women, first responders. Let's come together and help these heroes with financial support. Remember, when citizens dial 911, they get police and fire services. Who do our first responders call? We thank you for your support, and we ask you to make a donation. Just text HELP 911 to 41444 or visit firstresponderfund.com. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I would like to introduce my first guest, which is Houston Assistant Chief Wendy Bainbridge. Wendy?
Well, on behalf of HPD and all of our officers, we really want to truly thank the LAPD, LA Fire, and the citizens of Los Angeles for your welcoming us and for helping out our officers during such an unprecedented storm. Our officers were pre-mobilized before the storm hit because we knew it was coming. We were on 12-hour shifts. We quickly realized that we had to be on 24-hour shifts for 5 days straight, something that HPD has never done. Our officers had saved, and through high water rescues, over 6,000 individuals and groups of individuals out of their homes, many of whom were trapped in their attics, were sitting on top of their tables, and so forth. Sadly, some of our officers came home to the same thing. Over 600 officers had severe damage or total damage of their homes, and over 60 officers lost their vehicles while parked at a city lot when they were out working. They couldn't get back to the station because they were flooded out. And sadly, we lost 2 stations, so we had to mobilize and evacuate officers through that response, while at the same time saving other people through high water rescue. So we lost 2 stations, and we had to relocate about 4 divisions out of HPD. And so again, 51 inches in the city, it was unprecedented. I think they did a great job. Our heart goes out to Sergeant Steve Perez's family. It was through the heart of service that our officers were able to do this during such a time. And Sergeant Perez, through the heart of service, tried to make it there. He tried to make it to work. He tried to make it to the closest station possible because he could not make it to his own. And unfortunately, we lost him that night in the flood. Our officers stayed working despite what was going on with their homes. We all knew water was coming in our homes, and we didn't go back because we had to be there for our jobs. That is the epitome of a police officer. That is the heart of service, and that's what we're here for. And I want to thank you again on behalf of the Houston Police Department for everything that you're doing for us, for your generosity, and again, thank you, LAPD.
Thank you, Chief. Our next guest to speak will be Houston Assistant Fire Chief Michael Meir. Michael.
Good morning. Thank you for having us today. I must say that I'm completely overwhelmed by the invite to come here into your beautiful city and accept the help and commitment that you have offered us. It is something that was unexpected, and quite frankly, I have to admit that I am very overwhelmed and honored, again, to be invited. The Houston Fire Department, the city of Houston, we knew we had a very devastating storm coming, but I don't think any of us expected the level of devastation that we were going to experience. We had members working 24-hour shifts in fire stations who normally do just 24 and go home, but however, many were stranded at the fire station working for 3, some up to 5 days. The city was so devastated, we had a hard time sending in reinforcements to support our members. They were worn out. Many knew, by watching the city that they were serving, knew that their homes were going to be equally as devastated. We have over 250 members in the Houston Fire Department who have lost everything, with 12 of those members losing their entire home, personal possessions, transportation. They're displaced with no place to stay. Some fire stations have even had to admit those families into the fire station because of that. So any support and attention that they receive is much appreciated. Houston firefighters are very resilient. There's a tough time in the city. The firefighters already had a lot of obstacles to overcome before this storm. The work that they produced, the amount of lives that they saved, helping their fellow man, staying committed, proves the resilience of the Houston Fire Department. They've created a phrase that come hell or high water, Houston firefighters serve. I want to tell you that we carry that motto even to you. Should the time come that the city of Los Angeles need our help, we will be equally as resilient and carry that same motto, come hell or high water. Houston firefighters will continue to serve and help the city of Los Angeles in return for the commitment you have given to us. I want to say thank you again. Words cannot describe what you are doing for us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to our next speaker will be Harris County Assistant Sheriff Armando Tello.
Thank you very much, and muchas gracias. First of all, I'd like to thank the City of Los Angeles for having us here. The Fire Department and the Police Department, Chief Beck and his staff have been wonderful in taking care of us and making sure that we had everything that we need here. First of all, you know, this was a very difficult time for all of our deputies and police officers in the City of Houston. Many people don't know that during this time period, just through our office, we had nearly 54 24,000 calls for service during this time period. So you can imagine what kind of chaos was going on in Houston, Texas, and Harris County. Out of those calls, around 8,000 calls were for rescue. These are people that were in their homes. These were people that were trapped. These are senior citizens. These are parents. These are children that were there, and it was our job and our responsibility to go out there and do what it is that we have sworn to do. Again, today we're very grateful here. All of us here, my colleagues as well, and we just want to thank Lance for putting this together. We want to thank the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles Fire Department for being here for us. As Chief Myers said, we're going to be here for you guys should anything ever occur here in Los Angeles. Again, thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. And my contact, how this all started, Lieutenant Donnie Plant.
Thank you, Lance.
Yes, sir.
I can't tell you how much this means to all the hundreds of first responders I spoke to in our Harris County, Houston area. Just the fact that you guys here in LA are willing to start and support a brotherhood, to support your brothers and sisters as first responders, is overwhelming, because you guys are across the nation, and it's just really difficult for those guys to actually register in their mind that you guys recognize the brotherhood that's there. So I can tell you right now, they're extremely grateful for everything you guys are willing to do to initiate this, just to initiate this whole thing. Lance, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Yes. It just started with a conversation 8 months ago that turned into why we're here today. And I just can't tell you how grateful we are for the support that you guys are supporting us, and I agree with everybody else. We will absolutely be here to support you guys in the event you need support. We're here for you as well. But I just want to say thank you, and we appreciate everything you're doing. We thank you for just taking care of us these very, very difficult times. And God bless each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Our next speaker will be Councilman Mitch Englinger.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm Councilmember Mitchell Englander. I'm also chair of the Public Safety Committee for the City of Los Angeles, and stand here today in solidarity with the emergency response professionals whose heroic actions during Hurricane Harvey came to exemplify the pride of our entire country. Emergency responders all share a unique responsibility to put the safety of our people and our communities we serve before their own. Because of their selfless actions, there are an untold number of lives that were saved who otherwise, and those folks would not be here today. However, just because these brave men and women put others first, it doesn't mean that they don't need our help. It's been a few weeks since we've seen the incredible images of the rescues and the operations in Texas. The media, for the most part, has moved on to cover other major disasters and events. But for the first responders from Houston, from Harris County, who worked through what must been the longest shifts of their career, they then returned home, if they had a home, to the same catastrophic loss of property and the long road to recovery for those very people they put their lives on the front line to protect and to save. The effort we announced today is to say that their actions will not be forgotten and that they are not alone. So I want to thank LAPD Air Operations Division for coordinating this effort, the command of LAPD and LAFD for their support. A special thanks to LAPD Air Operations Reserve Officer Lance Orden, who brings life and purpose to the Air Support Angels Foundation. The other reserve officers and the first responders from LAPD and LAFD who actually provided mutual aid, particularly those reserve officers, and I want to bring attention to them. People like Bernard Khalili and Eric Ortiz that go through the same training and wear the same uniform and a badge for no pay and put their lives on the front line. I want to particularly thank that corps as well. And finally, to the Los Angeles family, we stand in awe of everything you've accomplished and endured in the last several months, and working with Houston and all the other partners and those who are going through catastrophic events. The resilience and strength you've displayed gives us strength, and we will continue to support you however we can. I urge everybody to please make a text, make a pledge. The phone number is there. if you text help 911 to 41444, even for a single dollar, if you think about what that can do to make a difference. We saw the millions of dollars that came in to aid and help the victims, but our first responders, particularly those that don't have a home to go back to, that lost everything, that are living in stations, they're continuing to work. They're continuing to protect us on the front lines, and they need our help more than ever. So Lance, thank you so much for this incredible cause and your great dedication. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to bring up Los Angeles Police Chief Charlie Beck.
Well, thank you all for being here. You know, there is a certainty in police work, and that certainty is this, is that we have each other's back. That we will respond and we'll put our lives on the line for another police officer or a firefighter, regardless of the circumstance. Be that circumstance a fight on the street where you can hear the sirens of your backup coming in the distance, or a phone call from Lance after the worst day of your life. We will be there for each other. That's a promise we make when we go through the academy. That's a promise we make till the day we retire. All of us were in awe of the response of all of the first responders, but in particular the fire and police service, to the disaster in Houston. But all of us need to come together to support these fine men and women. You know, there's a contract between society and its protectors. And that contract is this, is that we expect, society expects, when they call 911, that we will respond and we will put ourselves in jeopardy to save you. But the other side of that contract is this, is that society will support its first responders when they need it. So this should be seen as a grain of sand on a beachhead. This should be seen as a down payment on what all of America owes these first responders. So I encourage everybody that sees this, pick up your cell phone, pick up your hard line, make a donation. Remember, these are the same people that will come to your house in the middle of the night to keep you safe. And now it's your turn to help them. Thank you all. God bless you, and God bless our first responders.
Thank you again, everybody. I want to do one last thing. If I could bring up my friends from Harris County and Houston PD. What we would like to do is show our commitment. Our commitment is a financial commitment. On behalf of the men and women of LAPD Air Support Division and our Air Support Angels Foundation, we are going to start off with a check for $10,000 to kick off this fund. So again, to the media, to the great people of Los Angeles, to the great people of this country, support your first responders, and thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There you go. God bless you all. Okay.
Thank you, sir.